In this tutorial, we want to look at the filter editor in Inkscape. The filter editor can be used for two things. You can either use it when you have applied a filter on an object, and then you want to adjust it a bit, and then you can use it to edit it. You can also use it to create your own filter. Now we'll be looking at these two things in this tutorial. I'm using Inkscape 1.0. Now the first thing I will do is to go for my text tool, and I write something like thankful, anything at all, just to show you how it works. And I go to Shift and Control just to make it big for you to see what is happening. I give it maybe this color, red. Now I want to give this a filter, so I go to filters, I choose bevels, and I just give it this one. Let's give it a bloom, or maybe I would yes, bloom is okay. So when you give this filter here, you see that maybe if you are satisfied with it, that's fine, but maybe you want to modify the filter a bit to suit your need, then that's when you go to filters and go to filter editor. When you press this dialog box pops up here, I'm very sure in case you pop it up, and then most of the time, I have used mine for quite some time, but most of the time when you are new, it comes up like this. You can always extend it like this to see what is inside it. You can also make it a bit bigger for you to see. Now the bloom, which we chose as our filter, has these effects. You can see the effects. You can even add an effect to these effects by coming here, add effects, but you have to choose the effects first. Now the bloom has some of these effects in it. Has blend, it has composite, it has Gaussian blur. Now I explained to you a bit what this is the filter that we are using. These are the effects. Now the effects are connected to the source. The source graphic is for example, in our case with the thankful, which was red. Now the source alpha, we can either connect it to the source graphic, the source alpha, the background image, that is the image that is maybe if there was an image behind your source, the background alpha, the fill paints, or the stroke paints. Now the Gaussian blur is connected to the source alpha, so it affects the source alpha, the alpha of the thankful. And this thing here, this Gaussian blur, which affects the source, is now an input. Normally the one on top gives an input to the one below. So look here, this one here, the Gaussian blur is an input now to the spectacular light. That is after it took the alpha, the source alpha, and I applied the Gaussian blur. It is now brought to spectacular light for spectacular light to do its thing on it, and then after everything, it is brought to the composite for it to do its thing on it. The composite goes back again and applies the source alpha again to get the effects. I mean, sometimes you have to play around a bit. Let's say that one thing you have to notice is that each effect, when you press it here, you have the effects parameter. For example, the Gaussian blur, the effects, the parameter is the standard deviation. So look here, if you increase the standard deviation, things change. And then if you go back here, you get something like that again. The spectacular lights, if we press it as well, it has effects parameters. For example, the surface scale, you can adjust it like this for it to change. You can go up, you can come down, depending on what you want. Now we have the composite as well as its effects. We have it as, you can choose it, the default in this, our choice is not very nice. You can choose the over, you can choose the in, you can choose the top, you can choose the clear. I mean, you can choose whichever effects that you want. So you can play around with this more or less. If you go to morphology, it also has effects. You can choose the dilate. You can come here and choose the erode if that is what you are interested in. If you want back, you can go back there. So this is how you can, in case let's say you want to add another effect, you can easily add the effect or to what you have existing already. So in case let's say we want to add an effect, which I don't know what will happen, but let's say we want to add something like what should we add? We add anything like maybe another, we'll add a flat, something like that. One thing is, whatever any of the effects, you can read what it does here. The flat filter fills the region with a given color and opacity. It's usually used as an input to other filters. So maybe this I wouldn't choose that because it's used. Let's choose something like another Gaussian blur and see what will happen. You just do add and you see it does this. If you don't want it, you just right click it and you can remove it. So you can remove any of these here. So that is enough for updating an existing. Another thing I forgot to tell you, apart from the effects parameters, we have also the filter general settings. This will you see, this tells us where the filter is happening. So it defines something like a bounding box where it starts, where the x coordinate starts and the y coordinate starts, and also it tells us. So let's see here, you see coordinates. This is the x coordinates of the corner of the filter. It's by default for the bloom, it starts from minus 0.1, but let's say we increase it. As you increase it, you see it's moving to the right, because the coordinate system, we have x and y for a point, and this is the x, so it's moving. You can also for the y, this is for the y coordinates. Let's say we if we decrease this, you see it's moving up, or you can bring it down again. And also the dimension, they have 1.2. you can change the dimension as well by reducing the dimension, this reduces the width of the filter, and then this or reduces or increases, so it influences, it affects the width of the filter. So look, I can reduce it or I can increase it, and this is for the height, so you can reduce the height or you can increase the height. Okay, now let's create our own filter. So we write another word, something like, maybe we write something like kindness, and then we go, let me select it and go to Shift Control and make it a bit big, just for you to see, right? And then let's give it maybe this green color. Now let's say we want to create our own filter. So we come here, and it's not necessary you select it. You can create a filter and then afterwards apply it. Now let's go to new. The moment you go to new, you see it has here filter 1. So you can either give it a name in case you want to rename it. You can give it something like you can always give an intuitive name, but for our purposes I just write something like filter or let's give it, I'm going to create something which is a drop shadow. So drop, although it has drop shadow there, it doesn't matter, but we write something like drop. We give it a name, drop. It doesn't, the name is not for now, it's not really important. Now we have this, we have created the name, but it has no effects here. So let's add some effects. The first effect that I would want to add to kindness is I want to give it something like an offset, because I want to create a drop shadow, and I want it to, so that I'll move it to the right or to the left or downwards or something like that. So let's look for offset here. You choose offset, and then I would add it. I can already start applying it to it. I write offset. Okay, now I come to the parameters here, because I can with the offset, these are the effect parameters. I can either, it has the delta x and delta y, so I can increase it. You see, when I increase the x coordinates, it moves to the right a bit. I can increase the y coordinates as well. Maybe I maintain the y here a bit for the time being. I mean, afterwards we'll see what, and it's connected. I will want it to be connected to the source. So now what I have is, this is an offset which is actually connected to my source, which was the kindness, the green one. Now the next thing I would want to do is that I want to give it some color, so that we see the offset, what color I want to give the offset a color, and afterwards I will maintain my the kindness in green. So let's see here. To give it a color, I will go to color matrix, and then I will do add effects. Now it sounds a bit scary because everything is gone, but when you have matrix, if the type is matrix, effects parameter type matrix, you have to adjust these numbers here to get a color. But I wouldn't go into that now. If I would just go and choose the another option, which is saturate. Saturate is this. You can choose another option if you want. You can choose hue, rotate. You can choose luminance to alpha, but I would, for this purpose, I want to choose this one here. Now the next thing I want to do is that I want to merge this offset. I've created an offset with this color. I want to merge it with what the source graphic, which was kindness in green. So what I need to do is I need a merge effect. So I go to merge, and then I add the effects. Now what I need to do is that I need to connect the merge to this, and so that it knows that I want you to merge this offset with this color matrix with the source graphic. So now you see it's merged it with the source graphic, and the source graphic is now back. Now I have to adjust things, because so I will go to my offset again, and then manipulate the x a bit, so that it, let's see here, so that it's maybe I give the x 0.5, and then the y I'll give it 1.5 more or less. Let's see whether it gives us something. I think it gives us some drop shadow. Maybe let me reduce this a bit to maybe 1, and let's see I don't know. I give it, I would maybe make it, let's make it 1.2. Yeah, we see some shadow there. So this is, we've created a new filter, which is more or less like a drop shadow. Yes, we've created our own filter. I can increase this a bit. I was thinking maybe should I increase the wire a bit, maybe for you to see very well. If I don't know about the green though, but I think you can see. If you, let's see here, can I, if it's red, maybe you can see it better. So this is how you can more or less use the filter editor in Inkscape. Thank you for watching. Please come back again, and please subscribe to my channel to help me. And I thank all my subscribers, and give me a like if this helped you in any way. Thank you. Bye.